Hello everyone, it's Lennon. Today is going to be like a musings slash vlog video because I want to ramble about a few things on here. There have been lots and lots of good videos lately about Black Lives Matter and how this has or isn't transforming our community. Not being talked about. So many posts about the publishers of these tarot decks that we all happen to love aren't diversifying, not advocating. And then Miss Benebell gets on. Okay. We know she's really articulate, right? She had some statistics to share with us. Okay. And being the beautiful, knowledgeable, intelligent person that we know her to be, she came back with some numbers for us in her latest video about this, and how in other communities and other YouTube niches, okay, I'll say, she used Booktube and BeautyTube as examples, and then kind of compared that to our community, our spiritual community, our witchy community, our tarot community, and how there are so many more dislikes in our community versus the other niches out there. And I got to thinking, holy shit. Now, I consider myself, she even said her channel was really small. I don't consider her channel small at 15K, okay? I consider my channel small at 200 people. Love you guys. But she had some numbers and she gave some examples and was really trying to ask herself why there's so much, like, why are people in our community that are supposed to be empaths and these spiritual people that are supposed to love everyone are disliking all of our videos, or all of these videos that are coming up. Now, in my opinion, human rights is an every niche thing. Every niche should be talking about human rights activism, okay? At some point. But she started talking about what, Benebell's video was really about. Our niche is claiming to be so accepting and so inclusive that she doesn't understand the statistics. Now, in my opinion, there have been a lot of people in our, YouTube community specifically, that in our specific YouTube community, I mean, tarot, spirituality, maybe witchcraft, okay? I follow a lot of people in that bubble. And I've been noticing a lot of people talking about this. Mostly it's where you can donate, where you can advocate, where are your protests, or the protesting is happening in your area. Here's some people in the community you need to be following, right? But as a person in the community, it's also about leading these things into what we're already doing on our channels. If that happens to be tarot, how can we incorporate what's going on in the world into our tarot? That's what it's about. Integrating these problems, these human rights problems, into our own niche and not being separate. And it's about using the tools we have in our community. That's what all the videos are about. Using the tools you have to make changes. That's what tarot is. And so I started thinking about, of all the videos that I've seen about this and about, ways you can help, ways that you can do this, ways you can do that, we also need to be talking about how to pull this into our niche. Booktubers, okay? I will say I follow a shit ton of booktubers as a reader and as a book lover. And what are they doing? They're making those videos about where to donate. They're making those videos about how to advocate, okay? But then they're also including these problems into their videos. They're laying this as an extra layer onto their videos. You know, booktubers are like, they're challenging people. Here's some classics by Black authors that we want you to read. Here's some books that are about this. Here's a thriller by a Black author. Here's this, here are these books. They're giving out lists of books as booktubers. That's how they're advocating and making those videos of where to donate. And then they're also adding these human rights problems into their own niche. Right? Beauty people, beauty tube. But as after Benebell's, video, I started trolling everything. And I realized that the beauty tubers are doing the same thing. Here's some actual companies that are owned by Black women or Black people in general that we're adding to the list of products you need to check out. Okay? No one in our spiritual tarot community that I follow has integrated a tarot spread. Has integrated, here's some spiritual books by some Black people that we need you to check out. Here's some witchy books by some Black creators that we need you to check out. Now, I'm not saying on any other social media. I happen to only have Instagram other than this platform. So I have been seeing a couple of people advocating in like our spirituality niche on Instagram. Some. But what are some ways we can add this human rights problem into our niche? You know? Give people some tarot spreads. Give people some guided meditations on how to work out like for me, my white privilege in shadow. Making videos about the shadow work you've been doing. Maybe making a video about what you've realized your shadow work is lacking. That's what I'm saying. That's how we can become a human rights spiritual community. I feel like when it comes to our niche, some of us, okay, are really wanting to be allies. We're really trying to make videos about what we can do. And it's about figuring that out, yes. And it's about putting your money where your mouth is. And it's about talking to your other white friends, for me, that are coming to you with stupid ass smiles on their face about how to talk to their kids. How do I talk to my kids about this? If you haven't already started, then you're the problem, Carol. Straight up. I've had to tell one person that already. Talking to their kids, and it's like color blindness bullshit. I mean, those are already things you as an adult need to be working on. And as mommies, you need to be having the dialogue with your kids, okay? But I started thinking about this video, this specific Benebell video that she just posted recently, and how that's not happening. How we may be talking a lot of talk, but we're not actually putting our own niche in the problem. So, I'm going to turn the camera around and we'll do some things with the tarot. For this. And by the way, I'm white. So some of this is going to be on my white privilege and on my white guilt. Let's be a community. Okay? Sure, keep posting about what our tarot publishers aren't doing and how maybe we should make them be standing accountable. But also, let's integrate the tarot, Advocate for some tarot decks that have been created by Black people, Like I said, a couple of times I've seen this on Instagram, not really in the community. Which card flung out just now? Look at this. We're not going to the greener pastures now. This just flew out of the deck. We're not moving forward. So, let's be a community and also do our work on top of that. Okay, so to pull in, I'm sorry, I'm using this paper here because I like to recycle. And That's pretty much. So it's going to be some crinkly action happening. But in terms of the tarot, I wanted to go over something that I was reading the other day in a book called Tarot and Psychology. Great book. I'll leave it below. You can still get it on Amazon fairly cheap. So here's the first 5, okay, cards in the major arcana. And what this book says is about, it's like psychological development. So the magician here, he's basically just starting out on his awareness journey. So he's really not aware yet. But then we get to the high priestess. And what this paragraph is talking about is psychological development. And it says beginning of psychological development. The waters that she is standing on is in all the other major arcana cards in a way. And it's this moment of awakening, of beginning, okay? He's awakening, I'm sorry. And then she begins the psychological development. Then you get to the Empress. What does this represent? This represents, see her water back here? It's the same, it's flowing from her, flowing from the High Priestess. So what this means is emotional awareness. So once you begin psychological development, you have to become emotional to it. That means that you resonate with it resonate with the development in an emotional sense, latching on to things because they make you feel something. That's where this begins. And when it says emotional awareness of change, in order to make change happen, you have to be, first of all, you have to be aware of whatever's happening, okay, first. And then, because of an emotional resonance, so you latch onto something when that something makes you feel something, it's waking up to that with her, waking up to the emotional sense of everything. But then, and then you cannot have actual change until you get emotionally resonate with it. So then the Emperor, he's all about control, right? This particular paragraph says that he is change as conscious thought. So what happens is you begin your psychological development. Then you become aware of it, an emotional awareness of said development. Then you're going to orchestrate change and make these emotions into a conscious thought. Then once you think something, you come to the Hierophant. He knows and has sat with this thought well enough to proclaim it. That's how he's able to become the teacher, right? Who have been our teachers? Who have been our mentors? Back up and look at the High Priestess. How did we begin our psychological development? Who was the one that molded and shaped our thought patterning in terms of psychology and in terms of like our life experiences? Were we sheltered? Were we, I think about things like that. When I look at the High Priestess, I think not only about the intuition to back all of this up, but how might I have began my life before having my own thoughts, because my parents basically had my thoughts for me. And then once I started noticing things in the world, watching the news, I started to compile experiences and observations I made of the world and then had emotional responses to them. And then after that, I started advocating for those, because all of these things lead up to change won't happen unless you have some sort of emotional attachment to it, right? You don't go through life without that emotional attachment. So then, but change isn't happening until we get here, until we get to this place that we know we're developed, we know we can have our own thoughts, and then we actually, when we have those thoughts, it makes us feel certain things. What are those feelings? How are we orchestrating those feelings into actions? And if we're not, then nothing else is going to happen. We just stay here stagnant at the Emperor, and then we get to the Hierophant. He knows, and he's able to teach everyone. So who do we know that has, are we this person? Are we teaching others? Are we doing it the right way? How might our teachers in our specific schools, how have they molded and shaped the rest of these? How then only being number 5 here, only being a few steps into the journey, he's already able to tell and proclaim what he thinks he knows. That these are enough for us to, that this warrants this. Is that what's happening? So I thought that was really interesting when reading up on tarot psychology. When I just look at just these 5 cards, I put myself in each position, and how when I want to orchestrate change, or when I am teaching my own kids, am I the Hierophant? Do I know enough? Have I experienced enough emotional things to back all my facts up? To tell them, well, this is this, and this is how this made me feel. Am I not talking to them at all? Am I skipping over the Hierophant in the total sense to begin with? You know, have I not gone through all of this? Have I not awoken my third eye enough to know what's going on in my body and in my mind, and then being able to read my own intuition the best possible way? You know? And then the emotions that back all that up. Where are the emotions coming from? Where are my emotions being warranted right now? Do they even, are they, not so much that they don't matter, but am I being like a little drama queen? I have to ask myself that all the time. Am I being a drama queen about this? Right? Am I in control of my own emotions? Because once I get those under control, then I can start actually setting goals, making plans as to how I can turn all of these 3 into actions, how I can actually get to the Hierophant and advocate, be an activist. So I've been trying to study up and educate myself. That's really what this is, my silence on my own channel has been about. But I really wanted to incorporate some things that I'm doing in our niche, in our spiritual witchy tarot community, about all this. And some of the questions are deep dive questions. And then I got like 3 card spread, right? This one was, how has my past contributed to how I view my world today? In the past, and in the present position, I would be like, which privilege do I need to concentrate on? Now, this isn't saying this is my only white privilege. This is saying today, this is a privilege I need to concentrate on today, right? This is an ongoing thing. It's about having this in a spiritual practice all the time, so that it's not just something in the background on the back burner. And then in the last, which is the future position, how may I advocate for more equality moving forward? I love this picture with that question. I love this. And this figure here is looking out into the unknown, holding that world ball, right? Ready to step onto that precipice if he has to. He just looks clothed and ready for action. Right here, the Page of Cups, when I'm associating with myself. So that's pretty prevalent that he came up in the position, which privilege do I need to concentrate on? This could just be emotional. Am I being a drama queen with all this? Am I making it all about me? Which isn't helping. Maybe the privilege is I'm making it all about me and I need to shut the hell up and let somebody else talk. And then I'm going backwards, but in the past, how has my past contributed to how I view the world today? Again, I know people who have been in this position. I know people who are in this position right now. How have these instances that I know of from my past is that making me better or worse today? How is this making me better or worse today? How has that contributed to the worldview today? That's what I'm saying. This is how we're using the tarot, you know? I want us to be using the tarot, using what we already do, using what we already know. You know? Using the tarot, using shadow work, using journaling, stuff like that, and sharing those experiences that while we're doing all of this with other people in the spiritual community, so that they can wake up if they're asleep in all this, if they're living under a rock. Let's all be moving forward here. Okay, I'm back. I said that this was going to be like a vlog, right, Missy? What is it? Okay, another thing I wanted to talk about was ancestor work. We all, like, a lot of people I follow in this niche, okay, that I want to keep calling it. in this tarot tube, spirituality tube, witchy tube. A lot of the people that I follow talk about ancestor work, ancestor veneration, working them into, into your practice, sitting with them, sitting with how they used to live, getting into touch with past lives, their lives. But in terms of this work, I think that it's really hardcore to start asking them some hard questions if you haven't already. Ask them hard questions. Figure out some questions you can ask them. Sit with as part of your ancestor practice, your ancestor work practice. I think that's where the rub's going to be. Thinking about what hard questions I could ask them if they were still here. What answers would they give? That's going to be eye-opening. How are we as witches and as spiritual people holding them accountable? Now, like I said, this is going to be kind of like an all over the place video because I agree that as a spiritual community, I felt like we were going to be the ones that were going to be up on our feet about this because we are empaths, we are spiritual, we are, we really do want to be pouring and shedding light and love onto people. And I also feel like as a niche community, like I keep saying, like BookTube and BeautyTube, we need to be advocating for our own peeps. Tarot readers, tarot tubers that are Blacks or people of color. Tarot deck creators. How are we uplifting the people in our niche? Kellyanne has a couple of posts where she's putting it out there. Here's some creators you need to be following. Here's some this. Here's some this. Here's some witchy people. Here's some tarot people. And that's great. But even on YouTube, we need to be doing the same thing. Who are some content creators in the tarot spiritual witchy community we should be following? As an American, I want to see some Black Americans be pumped up with this. I get where Benebell was doing. She was just going to other niches for the statistics, which is a fantastic way to basically bitch slap this community, okay? Because that's what happened. And it needed to be done. Like, how dare we, the spiritual people, be at the top of this list of the dislikes? We're amplifying here. Let's amplify some people in our own niche. That's how we're gonna grow as a community. Those are my opinions, Benebell, so I hope it reaches you. It's because she wanted people to be talking about this, and is she the only one that finds this heartbreaking? No, you don't. I think that we need to incorporate some things that we're already doing on our channel, The people that are talking about tarot, they're talking about spirituality, they're talking about witchcraft. How are you putting the lens of your work on top of what you're already doing? Are you putting this layer on top of the spiritual and tarot and witchy work you're already putting forth on the channel? I've been working with the soul cards. I love the soul cards so much because they're so abstract, right? They're really, I do a lot of work with them, and I feel like, especially when I'm talking about ancestor accountability, for me, I'm going to pull some images from this that are going to be uncomfortable, and they're going to make me go, like that. That feeling right there is what I've been concentrating on using these cards specifically. Pulling out these uncomfortable collective unconscious images too. Sitting with those. This deck is really good for that. So anyway, look at this image right here. I feel like when I pull this card, this light is down here, almost like it's a Malkuth tree, like the tree of life. But this, in this center of your body, what is this? Like, that seems to be the concentration in this card. That looks like sludge. That looks all of this stuff in your the emotions, and all the stuff waiting down here. This is all the shadow work, your emotional work that needs to be dealt with. And only then you're turned around. You don't even realize you're turned around. You're shedding all this light, but it's really this that you need to work on. That's what I think about. So it's pulling all these images together and sharing our experiences as people on here. That's how we're going to grow. That's how we're going to evolve as a community and remain a niche and not just dismantle because nobody wants to talk about the hard shit. You're too busy disliking something. So, hope to see all of you again. Much love.